What is up, everyone? It's Tuesday night. Time for TCR Live. Thank you for joining. In case you didn't notice, it's just me tonight. My co-hosts both are on the inactive list tonight. Kyler and Aaron couldn't be here. So it's going to be me and you hanging out in the chat. So, get your comments and questions in there, and we'll talk about that. Got a couple things from the game I want to talk about. It's a rough week right now, right? Cardinals got blown out. We're all kind of trying to recover from that, get ready for this next week. And where do we go from here? It's very frustrating. Obviously, a lot of Cardinals fans are venting and angry and frustrated. And, with the way that the playoff loss, ended last season, obviously this was not a good way to start the 2022 campaign. And a lot of people are just feeling like, it's like nothing's changed. And with an off season that wasn't eventful enough for many people's likings. And a lot of fans were waiting for the big splash signings, and those didn't occur. Instead, we got, some depth signings and some budget signings, and, players like Nick Vigil and Will Hernandez. And a lot of fans were clamoring for much bigger signings. And then the draft came, and, we traded our first round pick in a trade I like for Hollywood Brown, but, that was maybe fans wanted them to go in a different direction. Some did. And then the second round came around, and the Cardinals picked Trey McBride, who I like as a player. And I think a couple years from now, we're all going to be really glad we have on this roster, but there were other positions of need. And then, it got even more frustrating for fans that, he wasn't active and, and things like that. And so there's a lot of frustrations for fans, and I totally get that. Obviously, if you are a subscriber to my channel and are familiar with my content, you know that I try to take kind of a little bit more of an optimistic view, but still try to kind of have a fair assessment of what's going on. And there's a lot to be frustrated about. There's a lot that needs to be fixed. I still am not kicking dirt on the casket of this team. I don't think it's time to give up on them yet, and we can talk about that. But understandably, there's a lot to be frustrated about, and with the way that things went down this week. So we'll talk about that. Maybe talk a little bit about the Raiders game coming up, and in general, talk about whatever questions, comments you have, and we're going to hang out together. So this is going to be a chat heavy episode. So definitely get your questions and comments in the chat, and we'll talk about them. Real quick, let me say hey to some of the folks that are here. Paul G, how do we have a whole year to come up with the excuse that we did not practice well during the preseason? Yeah, I know the during the press conferences, the topic of the practice came up, and we just need to practice harder, and even some players, that was a theme, and that's a tricky one because from your immediate thing you think when you hear that is, see, they're not practicing hard enough, something's wrong with that. At the same time, I also filter a lot of that stuff through kind of the coach speak, and the coaches and players are going to be very careful and measured in what they say to the media, and they're going to try to convey a message. So to some degree, I hear that, and what I think is I think they're really saying is they're trying to kind of say we need to work harder, and they're just trying to kind of put it on the responsibility of putting more work, and they're just trying not to make excuses. And so I'm not reading into that too much, but at the same time, I get that that's frustrating, and that is a concern. Real quick, we have a $10 super chat from Mr. Aaron. Mr. Aaron Van Buren has a super sweet gig. He's rolling in the money now as a football coach. Got his dream job, so he's being so generous. Thank you, Aaron. But he says can't be on the stream tonight, but want to say hi and thanks for being the best streamer for Cards fans. Also, Fire Kingsbury and Kime. That's all. Thank you for your generosity and for your kind words, Aaron. I miss you tonight. Appreciate that all that you do to help make this stream great, and all the work that you do and your friendship. So thank you for dropping in, and thank you, of course, for the super chat. And as always. So I get that that's frustrating, right, for fans in terms of hearing that about practice and such. So, I personally, like I said, I'm not going to overreact to that, but I do think there's some things that are worth paying attention to, and there's some things that have to get fixed. There is no doubt about that, right? Well, so let me say hey to some of the other folks that are here. We got Silver Wolf AZ. Let's go. Appreciate you being here. Silver Wolf is also saying anyone who has been a Cardinals fan for a while should be used to this. Yeah, maybe that's why I don't overreact too much, because I've been hurt enough by this, right? We have D, though. Thanks for being here. Rebuild the defense, man. That defense was ugly. They made. And I'll say, in particular, if you look at the PFF grades, the linebackers really struggled. I mean, there were struggles all around, but there were also some players who played really well. Rashard Lawrence played really well. Buddha played reasonably well. Zaven actually played pretty well. Dennis Gardick was a beast, but the defense as a whole, especially the linebackers, got beat a lot in the passing game. I think it seemed like, the linebackers who were called upon, to play in the middle of the field in those zones that Vince Joseph likes to play, they were getting picked apart. And the defense really struggled. Some of that's in injuries, some of that scheme, we'll talk about that some. But yeah, that defense, the offense wasn't great. It sputtered, but like the offense, and I would say like the offense and defense on a team will help each other out. I mean, if the offense didn't sputter as much, the defense still struggled. But if the offense kept those drives going, instead of putting up 44 points, it might have been, 32 points in a shootout that we had a chance for, right? Just by increasing the time of possession. But the defense was really bad. The offense wasn't great, but the offense at least didn't turn the ball over. They put up some points. It wasn't enough. They weren't good enough. But the defense was definitely really bad, right? We got Brian here. Thanks for being here. Joe here to tell you the man. Appreciate you, Brian. That's very kind. It's been a negative week, but you always make our lives better. Love you, bro. Appreciate you, Brian, with the kind words. I'm going to try. I am going to talk about a little bit of why we should maybe have some hope that it's not, that the season's not over. That doesn't mean it's definitely going to turn around, but there's reasons to hope. This is the fifth loss in a row by Vance Joseph to the Chiefs. Interesting. So he's got, he was the head coach in the division with the Broncos. Of course, the Broncos were a really good team. So let's see. We already got that there. Free matter for the mind. Thanks for being here. In my opinion, they're practicing so hard that players are getting injured. So this is interesting because, one of the things that happened during the preseason, as everyone knows, and I think it's a good chance to talk about this, is that they rested their starters in the preseason. And historically, until recently, usually what you would expect is that the starters would play maybe the first quarter of a game or two. They wouldn't play every game. They wouldn't play the majority of the snaps. They would get in there for maybe play the first quarter or the first half of the first game, and then they might get in there for a couple series of later games just to get the rust off. And obviously, this team, like other teams, they're not the only ones who did that, opted not to do that to kind of keep players healthy. And full disclosure, I was on board with that. I felt like that was, with the injury problems we had last year, that was necessary. I was on board with that. But, they got injured anyway, missing some key players, and they were rusty. So I'm at least reconsidering my position on that. Not that what my position matters to the Cardinals, but I am starting to wonder if maybe that whole thing needs to be reconsidered, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Real quick, back to Constitution One's a longtime supporter channel. Thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Really appreciate the support. All the support y'all. When you watch my videos and you click like, that helps. That helps with the ad revenue for the channel, and all the super chats. They really help out a lot. I've upgraded. If you've been following the channel for a while, I've upgraded my cameras, my lights. I bought a computer for editing, and I'm going to continue to try to, as the channel grows, continue to upgrade. And all your support has helped, with that. So definitely appreciate that. All the kind, generous support. But more than anything, obviously I appreciate you all being here, but I do want, that I really definitely appreciate that. It's helped the channel, help me to kind of, build it to what it's becoming. So. And on that note, just as FYI, we are getting close to a channel milestone. When I launched, we were 26 subscribers from 3,000, which is just amazing to me that many of you folks are part of this community, and so I definitely appreciate you all have helped that to happen. So we're getting it's about a year and a half. The channel's been here 18 months and getting just really close to 3,000 subscribers. So that's just I just really appreciate that so much. That's just awesome. Real quick, want to say hey to KR Gordon 08. I made it live. I know you're not always able to make it to these, but appreciate that you made it to yet another one. Thanks for being here. And then we've got the Red Elephant. Keim under any other owner would have been gone years ago. I think it's a fair point. Keim's done some things well, obviously with trades. I'm surprised he made it through that DUI arrest. I know a lot of fans talk about that, and in fact, that picture of him from his mugshot is kind of, a lot of fans kind of use that as their avatar and such to kind of remind us of that. It's been rough. I wonder how long he'll make it. I know they just signed that extension, but it has been rough, right? Gordon saying, hey, KR Gordon, yeah, this is why we need to play the preseason just a little. I'm moving towards that, right? Yeah, Isaiah Simmons, yeah, he had a really rough game. Absolutely. People are asking, I was still hopeful. I am still hopeful that he's gonna turn around this season. The guy is talented and he's smart and he works hard. But man, I just wonder, are they putting too much on his plate? I know he did that in college, and he did it very well in college, playing a number of different roles that, moving all around. But the NFL is a different thing. So I do wonder, do they just need to kind of move him into a linebacker spot and just let him play that, not move around so much? I'm starting to wonder that. I believe the talent's there, but if they're moving around so much, that's a little tough. So I don't know. But yeah, he had a rough game for sure. D'Lo with a super chat. Thank you so much. Love you, Giacomo. Growth takes time, just like his Super Bowl. Thank you so much. D'Lo is a great part of the Discord as well. If you aren't part of the Discord, check it out. There's a link below. We got a great community of folks who just talk Cardinals all the time. And thank you for the super chat, man. I definitely appreciate that and your support. Great member of the community. The growth takes time, but I'll tell you, the channel has grown pretty quickly compared to other channels, in this niche. I pay a lot of attention to the kind of YouTube stuff, and I've researched this a lot. And we've been, the community that y'all have helped build has been really great, and it's grown faster than a typical channel does, which I'm just really blessed and thankful for. So of course, though. Thank you so much again. Getting back to the comments in here. Let's see. We've got KR Gordon again saying, if Lawrence can keep that grade all year and healthy, I'll be happy. Yeah, I mean, Rashard Lawrence had a great game, and if you've been in my live streams, I'm a Lawrence stan. I'm a big believer. He looked really good against the run last year, and he graded well in pass rush and run defense. And if he can stay healthy, I think he's part of the solution on the defensive line, but they need more than him, right? Zach Gallen played reasonably well, but they need more than that, right? They need Watt to be healthy. And I think they need another veteran in that rotation, but it was encouraging to see Lawrence, right? So for sure. D'Lo saying, I will say I saw Marco make some good plays. Yeah, Marco had some nice plays. I'll tell you, Marco wasn't great, but he wasn't the biggest problem on defense, right? He had his ups and downs. It was a lot like last year, right? But he was not the biggest liability on defense from what I saw, at least, right? Jeff Talman, thank you for being here. Always great content. I'm hoping the pass rush shows up better this game to help on the other levels. Hopefully the timing gets better with Kyle in the receiving court. Yeah, it's tough because they did get some pressure, but they couldn't get any sacks. But Mahomes is really tough to pressure. Gardeck played really well, got some good pressure. We had a couple other players got some pressure, but they couldn't get home. But some of the pass rushers really struggled, right? So they definitely need to kind of get that sorted out. I think it will. And Kyler with the time in the receiving, some of it just looked rusty and sloppy at points. It wasn't horrible. Like I said, he didn't turn over the ball. There weren't many bad throws, but there also were some missed throws. So here's hoping, right? So, but thank you for that comment. KR Gordon says, Zaven played better than I expected based on preseason. I've been supportive of Zaven. I think he's going to be fine. I saw enough that I felt more comfortable with him. So we'll see though, right? The Red Elephant, that was the most notable thing to me yesterday. The whole linebacker core except Gardeck seemed to struggle over 100%. And when When you look at the PFF grades for the inside linebackers in particular, that's where it was ugly. I mean, a lot of grades in the 20s and 30s. The grades reflected that, right? So for sure. Kara Gordon, I got seeking tickets. Flat to Phoenix, we're going to game. Man, yeah. It's man, I wish I could get back there. You know, I teach for a living at a university, so it's like traveling during the season is tough because we're in the middle of the semester, so I can't really get anywhere that isn't local. But man, I wish I could. If I could, I'd take you up on that. But who knows? Maybe someday I'll get out there. I'll let you know that I'm out there, right? Play the rookies. Brian says, Sanders of the NCAA and college pressures, Myjai Sanders. We need a pass rush. He's a huge upgrade over DK. Kime on draft night said McBride would play teams at least, and I'm guessing that there was more to that. What's the point of drafting at all if you're going to use not going to use the young talent? We have to be the only team in the NFL doesn't play them and let them develop. Yeah, you know, I wish they played the rookies more too. I definitely like Myjai, you know, would have liked to seen more of him. You know, Devin Kennard is a nice veteran, good at setting the edge against the run, but man, you need to get some pressure out. Get them, you know, like the idea is you got to get those rookies in there, get them playing so that later in the season that they're not really quite rookies anymore, right? They've got at least, you know, they've got a good bit of professional games under their belt and they're much better. And yeah, I would like to see them more. You know, the whole thing with Trey McBride, I'm a little more patient on that one, and that's just because, you know, historically tight ends take a year or two before they're really ready to contribute with some rare exceptions. I mean, I'd like to see him more, but I mean, if you look at the game, they didn't even use the tight ends they had active much. I mean, so you know, they didn't use Ertz enough, which I think they should have used him more, and Max Williams more. So but you know, I would have liked to see more. From the edge rushers, rookie edge rushers, I would have liked to see Christian Matt. He only had one defensive snap, I believe. He graded well on one snap, but I would have liked to seen him in there more. So, you know, yeah, I really wish we did play the rookies more, right? So yeah. Jordan P saying blitzing Mahomes more than he's ever been blitzed in his career is what led us to our downfall. Mahomes is elite versus the blitz, and Vance clearly didn't do his homework. Coaching got us whooped. I mean, listen, you know, the conventional thinking on Patrick Mahomes these days is don't blitz him, right? You sit back and you try to kind of, or don't bring extra rushers. If you can get some pressure on him with the, you know, with your four that you're bringing on normal downs, you know, and, you know, then do that. You know, Vance wanted to, you know, put some pressure on him, but he didn't. Yeah, I mean, it's that goes against, flies in the face of conventional wisdom. So, you know, was a little surprised by that, but maybe I shouldn't have been, right? We got error. Is it error noobs? Is that what's supposed to be with the 8 there? I'm guessing that might be where you're going for with that. I'm such a used cards fan. It just hurts so much to see them put on that performance, but you do an amazing job making it feel better. Thanks so much for all that you do, Cards for. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, I've been a Cardinals fan since they moved there, more or less. I'm that old. And I feel that, man. Listen, I've been through Buddy Ryan coming to town and saying we got a winner in town and then not being a winner in town. I've been through the rough seasons. I've been through it all. So I've been there. I've been through Max Hall as our starting quarterback. So I feel that, you know, and I'm glad I can help you feel a little better, you know, but all seriousness, like regardless of how bad it is, and I know this sounds kind of like a Hallmark card, but the thing to remember is winning makes everything feel better, no doubt. But like the fan experience is more than just the wins and losses. Like it's us hanging out right now. It's you watching the game with friends and family. It's you going to the game. It's you getting to watch Kyler Murray throw up the Hail Murray. Don't get me wrong, that is all better when they win, and I want them to win. But if people say winning is the only thing that matters, it's not as a fan. It's the experiences. I know that sounds kind of a little cliche, but I'm telling you, enjoy the experiences, right? Enjoy the experiences and hope they win, and you know, because that's going to make it even better, right? But you know, so that's maybe part of why I have that perspective is like I think about all the great experiences I've had. I took my son to the Jaguars game last year. You know, the fact that the Cardinals season ended the way it did, you know, in the playoffs, that was absolutely frustrating. But like, I don't look at last season as a wasted season. I had a great day with my son, right? And so I take a little more holistic perspective, and that's maybe what helps me to kind of not overreact, right? But with that all said, there's some stuff that's got to get right. There's some stuff that has to get right, no doubt. Right. So going through, working my way through the chat. So thank you all again for being here. We have Sam Securia. I hope I pronounced it right. I try. Can you talk or give your opinion on what I think is that there's no passion at all from the coaches or team leaders at all? It's just like another day to them. I don't personally, I don't think that's what it is. I mean, people have their personalities, and I know for fans, it's, you want to see, that really impassioned, coach like, Dan Campbell, right? From Hard Knocks, and everyone loves that passion. But when it comes to press conference time, everyone, I think what we see is just the coach speak. I don't know. I don't think that's, I don't know. Maybe I just kind of look at it differently. I don't think that's the problem. I don't think that's the problem. You've got guys like, JJ Watt in that locker room, Buda Baker in that locker room. You've got Marcus Golden in that locker room. You can't tell me there aren't some passionate guys in there. I don't think that's what the problem is. I think it was execution. I think it was the game plan. Those soft zones were a problem. I think it was the injuries. We were missing some key players. And I think it was a damn good team we faced, right? The Chiefs. And week ones are weird, right? I'll talk about that a little bit later, right? So personally, I don't think that's it, but I understand why for fans that's what they feel that way, right? Because and some that comes from the frustration. But thank you for the question. Really appreciate that. Gary Shaw, how many players can start next week missing the first game? Let's see. Are you asking how many players of the ones who missed the first game? I'm not sure if that's I'm not sure if that's what you're asking. I apologize, Gary, if I'm not understanding your question, but I think we're hoping Pugh will be back. Rondale Moore maybe is a little more iffy, but hopefully he'll be back. I feel like Mullen will be back. Watt, I don't know, hopefully, but I'm not sure. And if I didn't understand your question, please let me know, Gary. I'll try to answer it if I misunderstood it. We got CDH 410. Hello, Joe. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. KR Gordon saying, I hate to admit it, this, but even Vigil said it for the first time, having reps his first team defense. Hope it was jitters and worked out bugs. Yeah, I think that probably is a lot of what it is, to be honest. And again, if you're not ready, Patrick Mahomes is going to tear that defense apart if you're not ready, right? Jordan P. Simmons making mistakes is actually good. Shows us what he can't do so that we can make a concrete role for him. Just hope they watch his mistakes and make adjustments. That's a good point. Hopefully they do that. The Red Elephant Simmons may also just have been adjusting the play calling and all the different positions as well. They gave him the green dot, and I think that's adding to his responsibilities, and maybe that he really struggled with that. And again, Mahomes is not a game to have struggles against. Daniel Hernandez, I'm worried about this upcoming Raiders game. Yeah, listen, they need to win this Raiders game. Raiders are a good team, but they're not nearly as good as the Chiefs, in my opinion. And the Cardinals need to show something, right? And if they come out and get blown out, I'm worried then, right? I'm not panicking now, but if they get blown out by the Raiders, I'm worried. If they lose in a tight game to the Raiders, I'm still not panicking, but I'm concerned, right? A little bit. But yeah, I understand why you're worried about that for sure. Brian saying, I think the thing about Simmons that most concerning is how stiff he looks when guarding a route. Dude ran sub 4.4. You could never tell. He struggled, but he also was against Kelsey on some of that. But yeah. Let's see. Air Noobs, what do you teach? I teach first grade. Oh, awesome. I teach sociology at a small university here in Georgia. So awesome. Awesome. Another educator. So thank you for the work you do teaching science to first graders. That's I have a son who's they're a little older than that, in second grade. But yeah, I appreciate the work you do educating children. Let's see. KR Gordon, Eno looked much better than he did preseason. I have him as running back 2, but I'd love to see the rookie Ingram, stocky dude. Yeah. I have a feeling we're not going to see Ingram unless someone gets injured. I think they drafted him to be part of that pipeline. I think a couple of years from now, he'll be part of that rotation. but I really like Ingram. But yeah, looked really good. Yeah, absolutely. So really glad to see that, right? Yeah, and Paul G, yeah, his wife has taught for 40 years. I met Paul and his wife in Jacksonville, which was delightful to meet them. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Raiders is a double-edged sword. Right now, Adams had 140 yards, but Carr threw 3 picks, right? So yeah, they're I'll tell you that I was looking at their team and they have some nice players, right? Adams, they've got, their tight end, is really, really good. Let's see, I've got Darren Waller, they've got Hunter Renfro. But besides those 3, their receiving core is a little not terribly deep. They've got a nice backup tight end. On defense, obviously, we know about their edge rushers, but like they're dealing with stuff that their roster, I wouldn't say is necessarily better than ours, especially on the defensive side. There's a couple positions where they've got some concerns, but that's an important game for sure. Absolutely. Let's see. KR Gordon, you're just a more real Cards fan on here. You're real, and I think that's what we relate to is more realistic expectations and talks versus the sugarcoaters. Yeah, appreciate that. I've been accused of being a little too optimistic sometimes, but I'll take that. But I do try to be balanced and realistic. But thank you so much. Let's see. Let's get some of the other questions and comments. Jana Hernandez, how bad was it to Cardinals games at ASU back then? So I only went to 1 or 2, but that was rough, right? Yeah. It's definitely good that they have their own stadium. I couldn't really afford to go to games back in the day, but I did get to 1 or 2 of them. I think a preseason game at Sun Devil Stadium back against Miami, and yeah, man, that's rough. I'm glad they definitely got their own new stadium, right? CDH 410. VJ gets blamed, but it seems to be a personnel thing. That game planning against Mahomes, he doesn't have the pass rush to play 7 coverage. Sadly, he's being the scapegoat for the performance. So, I think there are things I don't like about VJ's scheme in terms of the soft zone coverage. He is good at dialing up pressure. Usually, he struggled this time, and the way he likes to do that, and he likes to bring up guys to the line of scrimmage, and then show pressure, but you don't know which ones are going to blitz, and he drops someone back into coverage. And so what he does is he tries to make the offensive line account for 5 or 6 rushers because they don't know which ones are going to come, but then only maybe 4 or 5 of them come, and a couple of them drop into coverage. But the offensive line, the hope is that they've already kind of committed to blocking one of the defenders who's actually dropping into coverage. The problem with that is sometimes you get linebackers in coverage that, when people talk about, not wanting to see Marcus Golden drop into coverage, they want to see him rush the passer. Part of that is because of the way VJ tries to scheme up, the pressure, but it didn't work. And Jackson Kruger Sports had a great video about, kind of the game. And he showed a little bit examples of that, of VJ trying to do that. But what ended up happening is the linebackers, the people that were trying to drop back into coverage, were late getting there, and there were, kind of holes, and Patrick Mahomes exposed it. I know for me going into this game, I really kind of wish that they would have. They knew that they had a chance to get beat, and they knew that they're going to have to play. That Patrick Mahomes is tough. Play press man. He's going to beat you sometimes, but you're also going to make it harder for him, and you have a chance to get home on pressure. And I get that. He's tough. He's tough to beat whatever scheme. But if you're just kind of already know you're probably going to get beat on some plays, then play man-to-man, play it tight, and know that you're going to get beat on a few, but hope that you're going to make some plays on others. So, but yes, there I go on VJ. The personnel was a problem, right? It's not all on him. And in fact, I will say, last year, this Cardinals defense ranked 11th in total yards allowed. So they were the 11th ranked defense, and they had personnel issues last year, and they went through, and that's including the stretch where they really sucked down the stretch, right? So I think in a big picture sense, Vance Joseph has done a good job with this defense. I think he has coached a defense in his time here that has outperformed its talent. Okay. But there are still things that were frustrating in the game plan, right? And I think the personnel with the injuries on cornerback and everything, that was definitely a concern, and the linebackers really struggled. So for sure. Kara Gordon saying, took my 11-year daughter to the first NFL game on Christmas. That's awesome. We lost the Colts. That part's not awesome. But now she has new patch football. Not a waste of the season. 100%. That's what it's really about, right? Easy. I'm curious to see how defense looks against anyone other than moment. Yeah, right. You know, I mean, like, listen, we got our asses kicked, but like a lot of teams are going to look bad against Mahomes, and so like, how does this defense put up? I mean, hopefully it's not going to give up 44 against Derek Carr, right? So that's part of the reason I'm not panicking because of 1 week. Let's see how they look, right? After I want to see how they look after 4 games and after 8 games. We're going to have a much better idea of what they look like, right? In fact, I want to take this as a chance. I'm going to share. I put something really simple together before this, and I'm going to give you, right now is where I'm going to give you all something to have a little bit of hope. Okay. So that we had this game, got blown out, looked ugly, right? And fans are just like, season's done, right? Some fans are. And how can this defense that gave up 44 points stop anyone, right? And how this offense that looked that bad, how can this be an offense that we can rely on? And I understand that feeling. Like you get this, you're like, how can that defense I saw have good games? Is what's in your mind. So I put something together. And what I want to share is, I've talked about this in my video, and I've been talking about this, like week 1 is weird sometimes. Teams are rusty, especially, if they didn't play in the preseason. We saw what happened to the Rams. And sometimes week 1 just isn't, it's not always a good barometer for where teams are going to be at. So here's what I did. I put together from the last couple of seasons, the scores of some team games. These are all week 1 games where a team got beat badly. And the team that got beat we hope or think is a good team. So up in the upper left-hand corner, you see the Cardinals-Titans game from 2021. We all know that one, right? Cardinals blew out the Titans 38-13, made the Titans look really bad. Then we have the Packers-Saints, also from last season, week 1. The Saints blew out the Packers 38-3. The Packers with, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, still as part of the team, only put up 3 points. Now, I don't know if Adams was healthy. I don't know if he was injured there. Someone let me know if he was. But still, Packers lost 38-3. Then 2020, 2 years ago, week 1, the Browns lost to the Ravens by a score of 38-6. Now, on the right-hand side, I have some of the bad beats from week 1, right, including ours this year, right? Packers lost 23-7 to the Vikings. Bills blew out the Rams 31-10. We know about our game. But here's what I want to show you. Look at the column on the left-hand side. Now I'm going to show you how those teams ended their season. The Titans ended 12-5. The Packers that got their asses kicked 38-3 ended 13-4. In 2020, that Browns team that got, completely beat up 38-6 had a season record of 11-5 at the end. Do you think any of those teams look at that Packers game? They ended 13-4. Do you think fans of the Packers came out of that feeling like, oh, we're okay, right? So listen, I'm not saying that our team is going to finish with one of those kinds of records. There are things to work on. It is no guarantee they're going to turn it around. But what I am trying to say is just because a team gets their ass kicked week 1 does not mean they can't turn it around. Those are examples from the last 2 seasons of week 1 games with teams that got blown out at a level that is comparable to ours, right? Except, we put up more points than any of them, right? 21 points. We gave up more points than any of them, but it wasn't far off, right? All of those were 38 points, right? So it's close enough, right? Close enough for Jazz, as they say. So like, my point being is not, that they're definitely going to turn around. What I'm saying is there is precedent for teams having bad losses week 1 and it not being an indicator of who they were going to be season long, right? So that's my reason to have hope, okay? Now, I get the Cardinals are coming off a bad last half of second season. I get that there's a lot of concerns. But at the same time, there are some players who are injured who are going to be back, right? Hopefully, right? Cornerback. We're going to get one or both of Antonio Hamilton and, Trayvon Mullen. If we get one or both of those back and we're starting Trayvon Mullen, Antonio Hamilton, Byron Murphy, and Marco Wilson as our fourth cornerback, I feel okay about that. Would I feel better if we had a number one cornerback that was elite? Sure. But that's an NFL cornerback room that I'm not going to, I can live with. That's as good as what we had last year, more or less, I would argue, or close to it. I can live with that. The defensive line, if J.J. Watt comes back and is healthy, I feel better about that with Rashard Lawrence and Zach Allen. But that is a place where I wouldn't mind if they brought in a veteran. Interior defensive line. The pass rush, I feel okay about that. I know the outside linebackers. I feel okay about the outside linebackers. I know they didn't get any sacks, but that's Mahomes. He's slippery. Dennis Gardeck played really well. Marcus Golden will be okay. Get some of those other guys rotating. Get those rookies, reps. Get them in there. I'm okay with the outside linebackers, but the interior defensive line, get some help. Linebackers, Zaven played okay, but they need to play better. But again, Mahomes is going to make people look like that, right? So anyway, so there's my kind of have some hope, right? So, week one definitely doesn't show everything. We've got to get into the groove like the first 7 games last season. Yeah, thank you, Tanner. Definitely agree with that. Let's see. Trying to get some of your comments. Didn't get all of them. Yeah, Vance dropping D lineman in coverage for sure, right? That's, we don't like seeing that, right? Wolf Langus, thanks for being here. Over under when week we make Simmons just rush the passer. Yeah, right. Man, hopefully what they do is just let him play the weak inside linebacker. I mean, I did the video on the star backer thing, and he's got the skill, but man, that experience or that experiment needs to stop, right? I'm leaning in that direction, man. I know they like being able to move him around, and I did a whole video trying to explain it, but I'd like to see them kind of stick him in one position and kind of keep him there. Want to say hey to a couple other folks down here. We got Zhao Didi. I hope I pronounced your name right. If I did, I apologize. Thanks for being here. Hello, everyone. If I've missed, I try to get at least one comment from everyone, but if I missed it, I apologize. 5 wide receivers on third one should be illegal, man. Yeah. There's some things that I didn't like, right? I appreciate that you interact with the chat like a podcast. Appreciate you. Thank you. Easy. I try to get at least one comment from everyone. I can't always to be quite honest, like if there's a lot of people in chat, I can't get to them all, but I try to. But I thank you. I appreciate that. We've got Randrak. A lot of supposed good teams look terrible week one. Definitely too soon to burn down the ship. 100%, right? So yeah, that's the deal, right? Listen, I don't want to be naive and say, oh, they're going to be fine. They'll turn it around for sure, right? We got to see it, right? They got to get some people healthy. But anyone who's saying, look at that game, we're done, it doesn't pay attention to history, right? Every year, I just showed you over the last 2 years, 3 games with bad beats with teams that went on to have really good records, right? In the last couple seasons. Right? Does anyone think that the Rams are really like a last place team at even the way they got beat by the Bills? I know, there's some concern. They have some concerns, but the Rams are still a good team, right? They got beat badly, but they got arguably beat worse than we did, right? In terms of points put up at least, right? So yeah, I'm not going to stress out. I'm not going to panic yet, right? Why can't Cliff use 12 personnel? That would be perfect until Hop comes back. I don't know. That's a good question. I'd like to see more running game. I'd like to see them. I'm shocked they didn't throw the tight ends more, right? So for sure. We got Kay and Gordon saying our best time to beat the Rams is week 3. Hey, listen, hopefully we can get things right. And they seem to be starting out slow, so that would be nice, right? Who would have thought Seattle Seahawks in first place, but never count out Pete Carroll? Man, I don't know if anyone who follows me on Twitter, and if you don't, please do. My link's below. I sent out a tweet after all the losses, but before the Seahawks game, and I said something to the effect that Oh my God! Like Seattle's going to be in first place in the NFC West after this division, after this week, aren't they? Right? And lo and behold, it was right. So yeah. We got Simon G. Thank you for being here, Simon. Wolfgang is five wide receivers on 3rd and 1 is a Kingsbury screen. 5 receivers on 3rd and long is also a screen. Yeah, he likes those screens, right? Yeah. Zhao saying, I'd rather us be 8-9 and make the playoffs and win it all. Listen, if they could do that, then sure, right? Yeah. Jordan P. I'm usually more negative than positive, and even I can say that this is not the end. Film showed coaching was the major issue. With better coaching, Watt Mullen back will be fine. Yeah, I saw your the series of tweets. I thought that was really good, Jordan. Talking about some of the looking at the film, and listen, it was an ugly loss, but like there were some bright spots, and it's not hopeless. The linebackers got to play better, but again, that's Mahomes, man. He's gonna make things look bad, right? Yeah. So Zhao's saying rather be 8-9, make the playoffs and win it all than being 11-6 and lose in the first round, right? Yeah. Let's see who's all for Adrian Wilson replacing Guy. I'm a big Adrian Wilson fan, man. I mean, I wouldn't hate that, right? Wish we had some bigger DL. Always getting pushed around. Rashard Lawrence pretty good size defensive lineman, but yeah, might be nice to get some more guys in there that can push people around. Here's my biggest thing, Joe. Everything they've said since the game has come off as though their season starts this week against Las Vegas. It feels like they waved the white flag weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, what are they going to say though, right? I think they're just trying not to panic. I get that. I mean, I just try not to read too much into what we're hearing because there is a filter between what is said in the building and what is said outside, right? What we hear is not what they're saying in the building, right? And the reason players, they have a whole media relations department. Coaches say the things they say that are annoying and frustrating. The Cliff Kingsbury special. Well, you got to hand it to them. We all hate hearing that, but the reason they say that stuff is because they know that if you say stuff that's a little more detailed, reporters will run with it, right? There's a long history of reporters running with and big ugly stories because a player or a coach said something that was more detailed, the kind of thing we want to hear, but they got burned because someone ran with the story. So I just don't read too much into the things we're hearing like that. That's just me. It's coach speak, right? And they're just trying to say things to the media that is going to be an answer that's a non-answer. But I hear it's frustrating, right? Let's see. Paul is not for Adrian Wilson, the guy in charge of scouting. We're terrible there. I love the guy, but not. I don't know. I don't think it's as simple as that. I think there's some issue. I've talked about this sport before. They've really struggled with draft picks in recent years, no doubt. Some of that is instability of changing coaches. Like when they had 1 year of Steve Wilkes. I mean, so you went through in 3 years, you had 3 different coaching staffs with a drastic change from a 3-4 to 4-3 and a 3-4 defense. So it's that kind of messes with things. And, so I don't put that on Wilson. I'm even like, I don't know. I feel like the last couple of drafts have been better. I just don't think it's as simple as they don't know how to draft. They've played players out of position. That's a problem. They have had some bad picks. I'm not saying they've done a great job picking, but I think there's some other things to it that I don't think it's simply they don't know how to evaluate talent. I think they took some risk on some players, like, who had talent but didn't work out, like Kim Diche. That was a bust. That was a bad pick, no doubt. But he physically is talented. Yeah, they messed up on that one. But there are other players, like Hassan Reddick, that was really good, but they played him out in the wrong position, right? Dan Buchanan, I have to wonder, what would he have been like if he was a safety all along? So I don't know. They've messed it up, but I don't think it's as simple as they don't know how to evaluate talent. I think maybe they don't know how to develop it, but I don't know. Let's see. Josh Espadal, thank you for being here. I personally believe that Cardinals are still a playoff team. I just know the injuries combined with, the best team in the AFC. You get us getting stopped. We need a corner. I mean, I hope that they're still a playoff team. They got to get some things right for sure, though, right? Too many people not playing week 1. That was rough, right, Robert? Yeah, having all those players out for sure. Right. Let's see. Sam Harrison, I think we fell in love with this college mentality. We got Cliff and his love for Kyler. It's been 4 years, nothing is working out. We can't even get see. I don't. But is nothing working? I mean, think about like they had the number 1 overall pick because they had a horrible record, and they won 5 games, and then 8 games, and then 10 games. I don't think you can say nothing's worked out. I mean, they made the playoffs. I know it ended horribly. I know where it's looking bad right now this week, but I think that's hyperbole, though. I mean, I get it. We're frustrated with Cliff. There are some things end of the season. I think there's some things about the way he plays that's a little too static. I think he needs to change some of that. He needs more motion. I think he needs to do some things to adjust what he's doing. Yet at the same time, this team's improved every year for 3 years. I don't think you can say nothing's worked out. We need to see the next steps in the development. We need to see some changes, right? No doubt. But we're frustrated. I get it. We're all really frustrated about how it's gone down. So I feel that, right? Eric Ramos, thoughts on Simmons. My thoughts right now on Simmons is I think he's super smart, super talented. He's mature. I love everything I've seen from him in terms of press conferences. I love all the potential, but I am worried that the team is trying to ask him to do too many things and is preventing him from settling in and developing a position. This is something that's always kind of been looming there with Simmons. You worry, and people talked about that from the time he was drafted, like players like that who that kind of, that kind of can do everything. Jack of all trades, people worry if they don't get settled into a one position, they might not really be great at any of them. And that's the thing that's always been a concern. I've just been kind of like, well, let's see, this guy is super rare talent and he's smart. Maybe he can do it. I'm starting to worry about that a little bit. I'm starting to worry about that. I'm not going to completely bail on it. But if we don't see him, if midway through the season, he isn't like a leader on this defense with a PFF grade in the 70s at least. I'm going to really kind of be of the mindset they need to stick him in a position and leave him there. Right. That's my feelings right now on Simmons. Let's see. David Rodriguez, it just feels that we have some glaring personnel issues, and yet Keim has done little to address our depth. Frustrating when you see teams like LA last year go all the way, host the Super Bowl. So, like, here's the thing: like, I think they addressed the depth. They didn't. I think they're weirdly deeper, but not the frontline talent on defense isn't as good. And I did a whole video on this. Like, and the way I'm defining deeper is like, how many players you have that are drafted players that you like before you're getting to starting a guy off the street, right? And I think they added depth, especially on offense and even a little bit on defense. But what they didn't do is add a legit starting number 1 cornerback, a legit interior defensive lineman. They didn't add, a bona fide pass rusher. They're going with depth, and they don't have as much frontline talent on the defense. And I think that's the issue. And I know people are frustrated that they didn't go. A lot of fans wanted to see them make bigger signings. I'm okay with not going all in big signings because I like what they're doing in terms of focusing on the offense, trying to draft players and develop them on defense. Because I know as much as people say the salary cap is a myth, it's not a myth. It's just very, very malleable. But I think like you can't you can't fill a roster with stars on both sides, and do that salary cap wise. You have to draft some of it and build some of it with kind of, more budget options, and then have stars. And they're leaning more heavily on the offense with stars and trying to draft that defense. In retrospect, I would like to have seen them sign. They signed Jeff Gladney, and obviously it was tragic that he passed away. So that was rough, right? They had a plan. I would have liked to have seen one more veteran cornerback and a veteran interior defensive lineman. I would have been more okay with that. But yeah, I get that it's frustrating though. Spoiled Aphid does everything. D-Hop being missed desperately. Listen, I mean, they're definitely missing him. I mean, it's a different offense without him. I still, they have a lot of depth. Obviously they were out without Rondale Moore as well. But I don't know why he didn't throw the ball to Ertz more, right? So, Ivan Benitez doesn't think they're a playoff team, too many issues inside the organization. I think they could be, but I'm not. They got to get it turned around. I still think there's a chance, but again, we'll see, right? Tom Baum sucks with all the time we had to prepare without Hop. This offense still wasn't good. Yeah, I mean, and I said this in one of my videos, like the defense was going to struggle. They got to get it right. I think they'll be okay when they're not playing Patrick Mahomes and they get some of those players back. The offense struggling was a little more of a concern to me that you wanted to see them come out. Like if this was a shootout and it was, even if the Cardinals lost like 35-38, we'd be disappointed, but I think we'd be like, well, okay, we'd be upset, but it wouldn't be the same level, right? So, the offense, that is definitely concerning, right? Let's see. Jordan P saying the offensive line advanced schemes are the issues. It's actually not Cliff. Cliff schemes a lot of guys open, but the line breaks down something. Kyler just misses that. Sometimes Kyler just misses them. That's not on Cliff. Listen, the offensive line to me was maybe the biggest, in my opinion, that was maybe the biggest thing that reason they lost. Like Kyler missed a few things. I know there's a video going around on social media about, that where guys ripping to Kyler for missing a free rusher, and he should have made that protection call. That was a bad on Kyler, no doubt. But Kyler didn't turn over the ball. He had 2 touchdowns, 64.7% completion. He did a couple nice things with his legs running. It wasn't a great game, but it was this Kyler, a better game from Kyler on his own isn't winning this game for us. And he didn't lose the game for us. He needed more help to win, but the offensive line really struggled to keep pressure off of him. And, he didn't have the time. Right. So, that was rough, right? Back to Constitution. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, please, 41 folks watching, please click like on the video. That really helps. I'm just telling you, the algorithm, the YouTube thing, the way that one of the best things you can do to help the channel grow is watch videos, click like, and comment in the comment section. Because when you do that, the YouTube algorithm says, oh, people like this. They're watching it, they're clicking like, and they're commenting, and then it starts pushing it out to other people. So that's a little thing that if you can do and you want to help the channel grow, it definitely helps. So thank you for the reminder. Appreciate that. Let's see. Let's get through some of the other comments. Rams House. What's up, TCR? Thanks for being here, man. Hey, how you doing, Rams House? Man, we're both having a rough week, aren't we? Right? You guys got beat by a good team. We got beat by a good team. So we're all kind of commiserating here, right? Thanks for dropping by, Rams House, a good Rams content creator. Appreciate you saying hey. Was Kyler's performance Sunday worth 46.5 million? I mean, no one's, I don't like that question. I don't think I don't think that's really the way you have to look at it. I get where that question's coming from. I've heard that question. I did a whole video with Kyler. With Kyler, one, you either pay him that or you move on from him. So the question I have to ask back is, do you not want Kyler as your quarterback, right? Because that was the price that you were going to have to pay. But let me talk about it this way. Even the best quarterbacks have games like that, right? So are you going to ask, you could take one of Tom Brady's bad games and say, well, is he worth what they're paying him? Which, I know he's underpaid. You could take one of Patrick Mahomes' bad games and ask, is he worth $50 million? Well, you can't judge it on one game, right? You have to judge it on the big picture of the season. Now, when the season's over, you can ask, and it's a fair question to ask, should we have re-signed him? Should we have extended him? And if you don't think we should have, I mean that, I know there are some fans who don't think we should have kept him around. For me, it's okay, your alternative was he holds out, we trade him. This was a bad rookie draft class. So we're starting someone like Teddy Bridgewater, right? As our starting quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. Are we going at, we're going after a bridge quarterback and drafting a quarterback next year where we have a 1 in 3 chance that they're going to be good, right? So the whole deal with quarterback contracts is every year they go up. There's a range of about 3 to 4 million that all the franchise quarterbacks are going to get paid in that range, and you can't lowball them. there was no way to sign him for $38 million. It was going to be in that 46-ish million, and you either sign him or you move on from him. And next year, they're going to be getting paid 52 million. And 3 years from now, he's going to be like the 12th or 13th highest paid quarterback, and it's going to be a bargain. So, I get that's a rhetorical question people like to ask, but it's not really the way to look at it. Sorry. Yeah. But I don't think Kyler was the problem. We'd like to see more, but I don't think that was the deal, right? Let's see other comments and questions in here. Let's see. Kimbeho, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. We allowed 44, 34, and 30 points last 3 games. Yeah, I mean, it's been bad lately, right? Obviously, they ended really bad, right? And now this game, right? Yeah. Let's see. Ram says, yeah, rough day, but I moved on Saturday. I think we bounced back. Yeah, I think both our teams will, right? Yeah, for sure. Sam, Joe, you're doing a great job. Just not to get off the topic, but I see a lot of guitars in the background. Do you play any of them? Yes, I do. Not on here, obviously, but so all right. I'm going to give a quick tour of the guitars. It's completely kind of off topic, but over. Let's see. So this right here is a Yamaha bass guitar. This is the guitar in this room that I've had the longest. I played this bass guitar for decades, played it in bands with friends, played it at church and bands and all kinds of places. So that's my bass guitar that I used to play forever. The one right here is a Yamaha acoustic guitar. I play that once in a while just to jam and stuff. Over here is I think it's an acoustic bass guitar that if I want to just play bass guitar but not plug in an amp, I use that when I'm jamming with someone. And then right behind my head is the one I the coordination's always weird. This is a Music Man kind of Ernie Ball, but it's the low end one. But that's my bass guitar that I bought for myself now that I'm a grown up and I can afford to buy stuff. It's not super expensive, but that's the one I play now. And I play with some folks, just play cover tunes and stuff. So, so yes, there's my tour of my guitars. The acoustic guitar I play once in a great while. The one I play the most is this bass guitar right here. Sometimes I play that one too. This one I don't play. It's just my backup, and I have memories with it. So there we go. Thank you. Love the guitars. Thank you. Appreciate you. Kim, we got Kim. Thank you so much. We've had bad games too frequently. I get it. I mean, it feels that we have recently. They have to get some things right. No one's disagreeing with that. They got to get it turned around. I still think they have the talent to do that, but for sure they need to get it right. But of course, for the super chats, as always. So, good question. If you were to sign someone, who would you sign right now? I would sign an interior defensive lineman. Sheldon Richardson's been a name. I know a lot of people are talking Ndamukong Suh. I'm going to bring up a list of defensive line free agents, NFL. And let's see, let's look at let's look at who is current NFL free agents. All right. Current. Of course, it's not bringing them up. Okay. Let's try this. 2022. That's what we're going to do. Okay. 2022, all types, unrestricted free agents. Okay. And then we'll go defensive line, right? Update. Okay. And let's look at who's there. Okay. Well, and we want to do statuses we want available. I know this is great television, so to speak. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen so you can see who's out there. Okay. Share screen. Okay, so here's a list of the defensive line. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I know it's a little hard to see. Oh, then we've got the ad. That's wonderful. Let's try this. We didn't want to see. That's not what we want to see. Okay, there we go. All right. All these ads. Okay. I know a lot of people say JPP, but I'm not going after an edge rusher for me. I think Brandon Williams, I think I don't know, did he even retire? And Ndamukong Suh isn't my first choice, but I wouldn't hate that, Linval Joseph, maybe, right? Larry, I'm not sure why Larry Ogunjobi isn't available. There's not a ton of guys out there you look at, but Sheldon Richardson is a guy I would maybe look at, right? He's a veteran defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman, right? That's probably kind of where I would go. I know it's not the name people want. Maybe in Ndamukong Suh, I wouldn't mind get some pressure interior, but I'm not going to go with a cornerback as much as people want a cornerback because I think we just got to get our guys healthy. And I don't, I don't. Again, I'm not really going after the edge rushers. But that's me, right? So yeah. How much cap do we have? Last I heard it was like 7 million, maybe. Arizona Cardinals salary cap. Current salary cap room. Team cap space over the cap saying 6.125 million, right? So they're not going to go after anyone big, right? Let's see. Oh, so Larry Ogunjobi's playing for the Steelers, so maybe he's been signed. Okay, interesting. Okay. Let's see. Any interesting trade target? I think it's a little early for that, but well, I think and I think you really need to, as much as this game's frustrating, like I think if you're the Cardinals, you need to see what your team looks like 3 to 4 games in. Like you need to see a little more sample size before you really know where you need that help. I know we think we know where we need help, but I think you just got to see a few more games and then see where things are at. That's my opinion. Suh won't play unless it's 8 million plus. Unfortunately, I mean that might be it, right? We got Jonah. Thanks for being here. Jonah is a son of a good friend of mine. Hey, just showed up. Happy to see Murray not just giving up like in past. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Rams house, biggest concern for the Cardinals this year. Right now, I feel like it's the young defense. I know it's a very broad one, but the young defense, how can they get it together? Right? They're getting a lot of young players in there that they're trying to get experience, but hopefully, it works out, right? Let's see. Now, Ryan Kerrigan, unfortunately, Ryan Kerrigan is retired. He signed like a one-day contract with Washington to retire, right? So, so I don't think he's going to be an option. Yeah, and you have to keep 3 to 4 million for cap space for injuries. So, yeah. So, listen, there's a lot to be concerned with. I get it, but it's too early, I think, right? Gary D, I don't think it was any one person's fault. The whole team was not ready for Casey. Yeah. Like I said, though, if you were here earlier in the stream, I showed you week 1 can be like that. Good teams, have bad games sometimes week 1, and it goes down like that, right? So now we're getting ready for the Raiders. The Cardinals kind of need to get it turned around. We need to see better performances. I don't like saying anything's a must win, especially this early, but man, they at least need to look good, and Raiders are a beatable team. They lost last week too. We need to have a better showing, right? For sure. Sam saying, Joe, would you trade Zaven and draft picks for Bears for Roquan Smith? It will help Simmons right now. I wouldn't do that. I know. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I personally wouldn't do it. I still Zaven I thought looked decent. I still want to. Maybe I'm more of a believer in Zaven. Roquan Smith, I think you trade for him, you're going to have to really, the Hulk that I don't even know if we could do that cap wise. I wouldn't do it. I get that might help Simmons right now, but I wouldn't do that. Bring in a guy like that to right away try to fit into this defense. Personally, I wouldn't, but I understand why people want to, right? Brian, Keim definitely banking on the team to take off after week 7 when Hop comes back and players return from IR. We can get a full review when we actually have a full squad. So, here's hoping. So I want to go. Okay, so we're going to do something a little different and fun just for now, just real quick. It's still football related, but I keep pitching the Discord. If you've never been on Discord, I definitely encourage you to check it out. Like we have a Discord channel that has 140 something people. And there's a couple dozen folks that are every day talking football in there. It's Cardinal. Like if you want like a chat room type environment where you can just talk Cardinals football with some of the great folks in here, it's a great place. And there's some of the folks that are in the chat for this live stream right now, are in there right now. There's a link below to how to join Discord, and go in there and join it. It's really a great group. But within that Discord, we have one of the folks, Rashad, who's also a writer for AZ Sports Underground right here. Check out AZ Sports Underground. It's a website Kyler Bird and I launched, cover Arizona sports. But Rashad's a writer for us. But Rashad started a fantasy football league. So we have the Cardinal Rule Fantasy Football League. That's folks that are in the Discord. I'm in it. And so we had our first, obviously, games. And so I'm just going to give a little bit of an update, right, of what happened. I had the matchups. Let me bring that up. So let me bring up the scoreboard, and we have the leaderboard as well. So we're going to show you guys how the first week of TCR's, the Cardinal Rule Fantasy Football League. So as you see up here at the top, TCR is 1-0 against a team, the PED Hop. I'm not sure who that is. If you're in the chat, let me know who that was who I destroyed this week. But much love, right? So I beat someone pretty good there. And then we got a couple other folks who win. My ball, Zach Ertz. Won. Murray's Film Club won. I Like Sport. I'm Kaibu won. Chaser Alec won, who I know this part of the chat, or I don't know if he's in here tonight. I saw Simon was here. Shoulda, coulda, Buddha won. So those are the wins. Each week we're just gonna show who won, and we're gonna show the leaderboard, the standings. So right now, TCR is in second place, just by points. But this is the standing. So each week we're gonna show this for the folks that are in here, who are part of the Discord, part of the league. We're just going to show that each week to see who's leading it, and we'll see who can beat TCR in fantasy football, right? Which is not actually that hard to do. But D'Lo, love y'all. Yeah, thank you. D'Lo's a big part of the Discord. Paul's in there for sure, right? And let's see. I saw this. Vegas has Cardinals as big time underdogs versus the Raiders. How do you think they will fare? Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to be better. I don't think they're going to come out and blow anyone out, but I think the offense is going to look better. And I do think they'll look better on both sides of the ball, but I think it'll be a tight game. I'm hopeful they're going to win, but I think they'll look better. Not having an actual left guard doesn't help middle pressure situation whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, that was rough, right? Oh, look, Ghost Balls. I'm a goofy goober. Well, thank you, Ghost Balls, for letting us all know that. Pugh and Ford get back. Hudson works out the kinks. We'll be cooking with gas. Here's hoping, right? Yeah, definitely need some help on that inside. Or that left guard position was rough for sure, right? So all right, we have got an hour and 10 minutes. It's been a great time hanging out with you all in the chat. I appreciate you all for hanging out, giving the questions and comments. Even didn't have my co-hosts here with me, but it was really great to have you all hanging out, right? Grandizer, thank you for being here. Friendly reminder to all the wonderful viewers, please hit the like, subscribe button, help the algorithm for the Cardinals. We would much appreciate it. Yes, thank you, Grandizer. Appreciate you. Stay cool, people. So thank you all. We're going to wrap this thing up. It's been fun hanging out with you. I get we're frustrated. They gotta do better. But again, let's not it's too early to know for sure how this thing's going to go down. Let's judge it in a couple more games and see where things are out there. But no doubt they got to get better. So on our way out, I'm going to do the shout out for the folks who are channel members who support the channel on a monthly basis. I appreciate every one of you for doing that, and everyone who comes to the live stream. So thank you so much. So we're going to get out here. Peace, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.